Welcome to Tomorrow.Africa, the podcast that explores the possibilities and the potential of Web3 in the African continent. We believe that the future of Africa is bright and that emerging technologies such as blockchain can accelerate its development. We interview people who contribute to this breakthrough in Africa and around the world and who hold a positive vision for the future. My name is Yassi Lokman and I'll be your host for this podcast. In today's episode, I'll be interviewing Oluwaseun David Adepoju. David is the head of research at the Africa Blockchain Institute, an African blockchain education organization and think tank specialized in emerging technologies and the digital transformation of Africa. We'll be discussing the current state of the African blockchain ecosystem and how some specific countries have taken the lead in regards to the adoption of blockchain solutions. We will be exploring governmental initiatives undertaken by some African countries to promote the use of blockchain, the case of the African Web3 startups, and how adoption was mainly driven by the population in some African countries. David will be sharing key insights from the Africa Blockchain reports published by the Africa Blockchain Institute, some conclusions he drew from these reports on the current opportunities and limitations of the African tech space, and prospects for the wide adoption of Web3 solutions in African countries. David, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Yasin.
So, David, you have an extensive experience across the African continent. You have studied disruptive technologies, the digital transformation of African countries, and innovative ecosystems. You're currently the head of research at the Africa Blockchain Institute. You have been involved in the African Leadership University in Rwanda, as well as other innovative projects. So, David, could you say more about the highlights of your journey and what drives you to focus on innovative technologies?
Yeah, thank you, Yasin, and thank you for having me. My journey, from the beginning started with just that plain interest in technology and the effect of technology on the society. I grew up loving computers. I remembered growing up, I used to go to a neighbor's house to just use the Pentium. I can't remember. I think Windows 98 desktop computer, just for me to, learn how to use the computer. So my contraption for technology started from then, and my academic journey also helped me to cement my love for technology and innovation. I had a bachelor's in library and information science. I did a master's in information science, and I also did a master's in public policy, and I'm completing a PhD in creative technologies. But on the practical work side, I've been a technology thought leader for 10 years now, 10 years plus, from the research side and also from the support of the innovation ecosystem side. So I've always loved technology from the very beginning, and it started with the love of computers. And since then, I've done technology and innovation advocacy in Nigeria through an organization I founded in 2017 called Tech Meet Africa. And some of the accomplishments I've had in that space includes the popular TEDx talk that talks about is Nigeria technologically ready. I've also had up to 200 portfolio of content on different technological and innovation ecosystem conversations on radio. So it's been a journey, and I think I've been so privileged to have the opportunity to handle, projects that are technological, projects that bears on innovation, and that is changing lives of many on the continent.
And what got you specifically interested about blockchain technology? We hear a lot lately about blockchain and some related terms such as NFTs, metaverse, and so on. So much so that it sometimes sounds as a mere trend. But it seems like there is much more to blockchain than just a trend or a hype. So what made you personally focus on blockchain compared to other technologies? And in general, what makes it so compelling?
Yeah, thank you. And I think the blockchain technology is so unique. The first time I came in contact with anything blockchain was cryptography. So I started reading about cryptography when I read the Satoshi Nakamoto white paper. And I started reading about cryptography, and cryptography led me to learning about blockchain. And since I discovered blockchain, I noticed that the blockchain technology is such a unique technology out of all the fourth industrial revolution technologies. Number one, I think the blockchain technology promises freedom. When you look at the current financial system, when you look at the current value exchange system, it seems to be, operating on a bureaucratic system that is not helping people have control of their resources. And I think the blockchain technology promises freedom for that when it comes to value exchange. Number two is that the blockchain technology promises transparency, where we can deal with a lot of anomalies in the society because of the blockchain technology, where everything is transparent and people are, they have visibility into the participatory patterns of implementation of processes in the society. And I think that is really one of the things people desire to have in the society. Number three thing would be the speed at which we can transfer value, right? I've seen situations where people have complained over and over again around not being able to send financial values from one country to another in as fast as possible. So the blockchain technology also brought the opportunity for us to be able to reduce the turnaround time of financial transaction, and also maybe lastly will be the security that blockchain brings. Right, it's one of the immutable technologies that we can build on over time and perfect it to the point where it becomes completely reliable. So I think it brings a lot of opportunities. And this is the reason why I'm really excited and fascinated by the technology. And this is why I'm focusing my thought leadership and research and also implementation and deployment on it. So it's really interesting. And in terms of the locational focus of my passion for technology, the blockchain technology, I think it's African. I believe the blockchain technology brings a lot of opportunity for Africa as a continent, and that is why most of the work we do at the Africa Blockchain Institute transcends all the African countries, and also, we take the learnings from Africa to also inform the global ecosystem, to know what is going on the continent, to be able to make decisions correctly in terms of investment and also support of innovators with the blockchain technology on the continent.
Yeah, definitely. I think blockchain in general can be disruptive and be able to create whole new industries, but the attributes of the technology make it specifically interesting for developing countries and specifically for Africa.
Yeah.
I mean, cryptocurrencies work very well, but we don't need them in in our day-to-day life in most countries. While there are some countries where system where transaction could be made in a secure way, in a fast way, without having an authority that has power over the value of this asset, would actually be life-changing.
Yeah.
Do you see, for the sake of example, do you see some other use cases or applications of blockchain technology, or ways it could solve real life issues that are faced in the African continent?
Yes, definitely. And I think that is a very important question because usually when we talk about the blockchain technology, people have the misconception that we're just talking about crypto. Crypto is just one out of the thousands of use cases of the blockchain technology. So specifically in Africa, we've seen from the research we've done, currently we've covered 8 countries of the continent, and we've really done a lot of deep work to see the blockchain innovations going on in those countries. We're currently on the third edition of the Africa Blockchain Report that has 4 other countries that we're currently looking at. And from the countries we've studied, we've seen innovators using blockchain for music royalty in places like South Africa, where creatives can actually you know um, s- do a smart contract for their agreement with the record labels that signs them, and they're able to see in real life the financial gains coming from the streams of their music or creative work online, and they're able to get their royalties right there from the blockchain. So that is an important one. Number two, we've seen in Zimbabwe how innovators are using the blockchain technology to do land title management. I think one of the biggest issues on the continent is how indigenous people fight for land, and how some of the land issue stays in court for 15 years, 20 years. So we saw how innovators are using blockchain technology to manage land title management and smart contract for land, documents, and that is on the blockchain that everybody can have access to it and see and confirm that the real owners of the land are actually alive, and no other person can take the land from them. It has really disrupted the space in Zimbabwe, and also we saw how blockchain is being used for in energy distribution in Tunisia. There's a company that does energy distribution on the blockchain, and people can do peer-to-peer share of energy value that can be uploaded on their traditional meter, and they have electricity. So it's really interesting how other use cases are coming out of the continent outside of crypto exchange. We've also seen a situation, an innovator that is using blockchain to do track and trace of agricultural produce in Rwanda. You will agree with me that the middlemen are one of the biggest problem of the agricultural value chain, even though it seems on the surface that they're adding value to the ecosystem. But the truth is that they rip off the farmers a lot. A lot of them rip off the farmers that sweat and use their time to make this agricultural and food production. So, this innovator created an opportunity for farmers to be able to connect to the end point of their sales directly, and they're able to monitor what is happening with the goods from point A to Z on the blockchain. In South Africa, we saw how blockchain is being used for the track and trace also of human hair. There's a company that is using blockchain for track and trace of human hair for vendors and importation and exportation of human hair. In Egypt, there's a company that is applying blockchain to logistic value chain. As a matter of fact, when that company started innovating for the government in terms of logistics and importation, they actually the amount of money they used to lose, they started recovering after the blockchain technology has been applied to that value chain. So a lot of use cases that we've seen outside of crypto on the continent, which is really exciting. In Ghana as well, there are innovation around the blockchain technology for land title management as well. So those are some of the areas we've started to see other use cases, and summarily energy, land title management, track and trace of value, and logistics, and also in agriculture, which is really exciting.
And I guess that these are just a few of the possible applications of the technology. The technology in itself is an infrastructure, so technically all type of solutions could be built upon it. Yeah. The first application of the technology was Bitcoin, so it was cryptocurrencies, but now new generations of blockchain could allow one to leverage the attributes of blockchain, so security, decentralization, and also scalability, and be able to design and think all types of systems. So, as we've mentioned in the introduction, you're involved in the Africa Blockchain Institute, a transcontinental think tank that promotes the use, adoption, and development of blockchain in different sectors in Africa. So could you say more about how the Africa Blockchain Institute came to be, your mission, some of your achievements, and the value you aim to bring to the African continent?
Thank you. At the Africa Blockchain Institute, we are the very first, foremost blockchain think tank in Africa. We noticed that there's a lot of misconception that came with the blockchain technology. As a matter of fact, in the early days of blockchain adoption in Africa, it was riddled with a lot of situations around scams and Ponzi schemes with people who didn't understand the uptake of the technology and the potentials it had. So a lot of people rode on the ignorance of the people to lie to them about the blockchain technology, and through that they created a lot of Ponzi schemes and pyramid schemes that promises them a lot of fake cryptos, and people lost a lot of money. So we came out of that background of thought to see what we can do to actually change the thoughts and the trajectory of the technology from get rich quick kind of technology potential to people really understanding the technology and innovate correctly with it. So that was a thought behind the foundation of Africa Blockchain Institute. We've been operating for roughly 5 years. Started in Nigeria, but now headquartered in Kigali, Rwanda, and the organization was actually prototyped in Ghana. So we want to say we are truly Pan-African in our approach to education and training and deployment and research for blockchain technology on the continent. We have major programs that we do. We run the biggest blockchain incubation program on the continent. We've done 3 editions already. This year, we brought startups that we incubated from Zimbabwe and Egypt for demo day in Kigali, Rwanda, and we can proudly say that we've incubated at least 8 blockchain innovators on the continent who are investment ready and who are innovating correctly with the blockchain technology. We also run the blockchain acceleration program that happens every November. We run the blockchain hackathon program that runs yearly as well. We also think that the future of this technology lies on the shoulder of young people who are able to enter into the ecosystem quickly. So we thought of catching them young, and this led us to starting the Africa Blockchain Summer Boot Camp for teenagers. And we take this from cities to cities. So we've done, for the first edition, we did Ghana. And this year we did Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, where we bring together teenagers under 3 tracks of learning, such as blockchain entrepreneurship, blockchain development, and thought leadership in blockchain. So we just want to expose them to the potentials of the blockchain technology, and for those who are eyes for technical trajectories, they are able to learn how to code as well. So these are some of the works we do, and obviously the Africa Blockchain Report, which is one of the biggest data-rich resource that you can refer to when it comes to blockchain technology on the continent. And so in terms of countries where we operate everywhere in Africa. We have tentacles everywhere, and that is why some of our projects are spread across Africa, and we are not limited to one spot. So generally, we've been able to touch up to 16 countries already, and we keep moving, and we have plans for the coming future to truly have impact that can be seen physically and intellectually, and in terms of technical productions as well across all the countries of Africa. We consult for deployment of blockchain solution. We do research, and we use evidence-based research to inform and advise governments and policymakers on how to actually innovate correctly with the blockchain technology. So these are some of the things that we do and some of the accomplishments that we have, and we hope to do more for the continent.
I would highly recommend the listeners to download a copy of the Africa blockchain reports you have published. It gives a concise and complete overview of the blockchain ecosystem in Africa, and it's based both on qualitative and a quantitative approach. So, David, could you share some words about your personal experience when conducting the research for this report? And also, how are you planning to upgrade this report in the future and maybe include some other elements into it?
Thank you so much. In terms of experience, I think I would state clearly that it's not easy to gather data, especially in Africa. It's not actually easy to gather data, but we got it done. We got it done. We took a lot of practical approaches to data collection. And that's why we use a mixed method approach, so that we're not limited to just one method. So for the survey, we try to look at the innovators, what they are doing with the blockchain technology. So we developed a survey for those for that cluster of the research, where we look for blockchain innovators, blockchain startups, and people who are incorporating blockchain technology into their operations. For the interview, we look for technology thought leaders in blockchain and general technology policy who could speak to the current situation when it comes to regulatory frameworks of blockchain technology in those countries. And in terms of already existing data, we look for already existing blockchain companies in those countries, and we look deeply into their mode of operation, the situations and the challenges that they have faced in their business, and how they are navigating the regulatory environment in those countries as well. And you would see that in the report, we did a blend of government, regulation and adoption of blockchain technology and their regulatory ecosystem, and also the entrepreneurial and innovation ecosystem, so that we're able to see from the government and the regulatory leader side, and also the practical ecosystem innovating with the technology. Because we know that in most part of Africa, the government still has the wait and see approach to the technology, while some of them are outrightly not in tune with exploration of the blockchain technology. But it seems the technology is so unique that people are still experimenting with it and still producing innovation with it, even in countries where the government is not yet on board. I believe the government will have to catch up with the private sector when it comes to the blockchain technology eventually in most part of Africa. Um, in terms of upgrading the report, we just finished work on the second edition, and which covered Zimbabwe, Rwanda, Ghana, and Egypt. We just concluded the research, and for this second edition, we did a lot of upgrade on. We wanted to see the education, the influence of the level of education of these innovators on how they are innovating, and also to see where they first got to know about the blockchain technology. That's an upgrade to the second one. This third edition, we are doing a major upgrade. So this third edition, we are studying Morocco, Mauritius, Senegal and Tanzania. And what we're looking at as an upgrade, first of all, is the blockchain on which these innovators are building on, which was not included in the first and the second edition. We want to see the blockchain solutions they are building, and on which of the blockchains they are building on. So there will be options of whether you are building on Algorand or EOS or IBM, or all the Stellar, and we give a lot of options. And the second upgrade to this third edition is on if they are actually profitable. The way we structured the questions initially didn't really show us their true valuation. And then the third upgrade will be the number of users they currently have, or how many people are currently using their platform, whether it's still at the prototype stage or they have gone mainstream on the mainnet. So a lot of upgrade coming to this. Also, the way we structure the data reporting will also be different. Not completely different, but will be an upgrade and an improvement on what we've done before. So basically, we are looking for new ways. We're always looking for new ways to make the data simpler for even a layman in the society to understand the blockchain technology and what is going on with it. And that is why our writing in those reports are not necessarily technical. We find innovative and creative ways to break down the communication, and also to structure the way we present the data in such a way that it is granular for anybody that picks the report up to understand.
In the first edition of the reports, you have focused on 4 African countries
Yes.
that seem to play, for now, leadership role in regards to the adoption of blockchain, namely Kenya, Nigeria, South Africa, and Tunisia.
Yes.
Do you see some common factors between these countries that have allowed them to adopt these technologies faster than other African countries? And was this the growth of the technology, the adoption of blockchain in each one of these countries, a result of a government-led initiative, or did it emanate from the interests and the adoption of the citizens?
I think in those 4 countries, the adoption and the mainstreaming I think the level of mainstreaming that we've seen came from the citizens. I usually say that it seems the blockchain technology it seems like a rebellious technology that people can experiment with it no matter what the regulatory environment is saying. So in those 4 countries, it's from the people. The adoption of the innovation is from the people. But in Nigeria, I think Nigeria onboarded early on, developing a framework for blockchain adoption and implementation. So there's a national blockchain implementation framework that Nigeria produced, and is cited in that report. So that gave an early green light to the innovation with the technology. I think across the 4 countries as well, the government is aware of the potentials of the blockchain technology, and they have some information around it. What they are against is the crypto part use case of the blockchain technology, right? None of those 4 countries has fully onboarded with crypto, because there's a lot of skepticism around crypto, especially from the central banks of those countries. But they have not stopped innovating with the blockchain technology. And there's no clampdown on other use cases of the blockchain technology as long as it's not crypto, right? So Nigeria seems to be leading across all the experimentation and innovation that comes with crypto exchanges and crypto ecosystem. South Africa has more use cases outside of crypto than Nigeria. And in South Africa, you would see a lot of use cases around property management, music royalty, metaverse gaming on the blockchain. A lot of use cases. In terms of use cases outside crypto, South Africa takes the lead. But in terms of crypto, Nigeria takes the lead. In Kenya, there's a mix of both worlds in terms of crypto use cases and other use cases that are outside crypto. The same thing in Tunisia. But what is common to those 4 countries is that their government they still have the reservation for the crypto use case, but they are open to innovation with the blockchain technology. And you can see that most of these countries are now setting up national committees to look into the potentials of the blockchain technology. Maybe, which I think is a right approach, because once people understand the blockchain technology, they will understand the crypto part of it as well. The reason why crypto is leading Nigeria is leading in crypto, I beg your pardon, is that most of the traditional banks in Nigeria are not really interoperable with the West. So the best way to go is crypto, right? And also recently the inflation that is eating the naira, people cannot just wait and see their financial fortunes just waste away like that. They need to look for something that encrypts their financial, fortunes, and also ease of transaction with other countries of the world. So Nigeria has actually done well in innovating with crypto. And you would see that despite the clampdown on crypto in Nigeria in February 2021, the peer-to-peer transaction of crypto went up immediately by 17%, right? That tells you that there's something there. So I believe the innovation we'll begin to see with the blockchain technology will be geometric in the next 5 years, because there are things that are changing, awareness is improving, people are getting more to know about the blockchain technology correctly, and then there's balanced understanding of crypto, and I think that would really change the uptake of the technology in those countries that we've mentioned.
Are there incentives for African countries to encourage the adoption of these technologies? I mean, after all, blockchain and Web3 in general are about decentralization and the consensus of a network. So, wouldn't that be a threat for the extent of the power of the governments?
Well, I don't think. I don't think there should be any intimidation for the government with decentralization. I think the future of governance as well is decentralization. We may want to argue or not be on board with that statement for now, but the truth is that governance will always move in the direction of the people, no matter what we want to do. So the future of governance is also decentralized, because we are beginning to have more educated, aware, and politically aware people everywhere in the world. If you see the political landscape, the governance landscape in the last 2 years, you would see that there is more awareness about governance, and we are moving towards anticipatory governance, where people are actually aware of the patterns that governance will take, and they prepare for it with their decision as patriotic citizens of their countries. So I believe that no matter the intimidation that may be coming from the powers that be who don't understand the technology yet, and it's okay, it's normal, and there's no rancor here. I believe when the internet was first introduced to, a lot of people kicked against it. When smartphones first came, I remember a lot of global leaders were talking about it will never happen that we'll be typing messages on a flat screen. But what are we using today? So I believe technology evolves, and sometimes we do not even understand the future from where we stand. So it will evolve, I believe. I'm a technology optimist. And I believe that from what we've seen in the last 20 years with the evolution of digital technologies, blockchain technology will not be an exception, because it will evolve so greatly that those regulators or government who are not ready to understand it will have to catch up with the geometric level of innovation that will be coming with it.
And how about the entrepreneurial side, on which you've also focused in the reports? What is the health of the blockchain startup ecosystem in Africa compared to other continents, like Europe, Asia, or America? And are there some startups leveraging blockchain that were already able to scale and even be profitable?
Oh yeah, the entrepreneurship blockchain ecosystem in Africa is still at the early stage. We still have a lot of experimentations. We have a lot of ideas on computers. We have a lot of ideas on as codes that are ready to be deployed. But what our report has showed is that there's a lot of issues around funding in Africa. And it's because I granted an interview to CNBC on the report a while ago. And I think the summary of that interview was that we do not have seed funding culture in Africa. We don't have people that drops their money as promise of believe in innovators, right? And it's because I think the old monies in Africa made their money from industries outside of technology, and it becomes very hard for them to understand the potentials of technology investment or digital economy entrepreneurial investment. So if we're able to scale that and have a change of mind where people are beginning to have seed funding initiatives, I think a lot of our blockchain innovators will be able to take some of their innovation from GitHub to mainnet, right? And I also feel that there's a level of misconception that has rooted the blockchain technology to the point where even when people see blockchain solution, what comes to their mind is crypto. And once crypto comes to their mind, they remember the early days of crypto scams in different countries or in their different countries, right? So I think those are major challenges. Another pattern that we saw in the urgent need for these blockchain innovators is incubation and acceleration programs that takes them from point A of ideation to point B of acceleration, of incubation, and point C of acceleration. And from there, they're able to scale up, right? So we need more of that. We have started doing that, but we believe, what if more platforms come up to, do this, we'll be able to accelerate the blockchain innovation and create more economic prosperity from the technology on the continent. In terms of organizations and companies who are already leveraging technology and they are doing well, we saw a number of those in South Africa. An example is Saint B. Saint B is a company that is doing well in South Africa, and they leverage the blockchain technology for financial transaction. There's Latency in Tunisia. Is a Tunisian startup that we spoke to in the first edition. They work in energy. I think they are really doing well as well. Recently, we incubated a company called Tijere from Zimbabwe. They are at the early stage, but they have a wonderful model for they use alternative credit data to help people who want to buy property have access to credit through an AI powered system on the blockchain technology. So these are some projects that I can remember off my head, but we've spoken to averagely 37 blockchain innovators on the continent. Many of them at the development ideation stage, some at the developmental stage, and a few of them have become stable and profitable. But we believe that going forward as well, with more seed funding coming to them, with support for incubation and acceleration, we'll see more successful blockchain companies on the continent.
So you said that in the reports for the upcoming edition, you'll be tackling other countries other than the 4 countries that were already presented in the first edition. Are there
Yes.
some other African countries where things seem to be going in the right way in regards to the adoption of blockchain, both at the governmental level, but also in regards to the entrepreneurial ecosystem?
Yeah, an interesting insight to that it would be Mauritius. I think Mauritius is one of the current countries we are studying, and with what we've seen in Mauritius, Mauritius is one of the few African countries that, from the early days, they had a standard regulatory framework for digital assets, and they focused it more on innovation with blockchain technology and crypto. And it's also you can see a lot of blockchain companies being able to register freely, and there's a regulatory framework they need to follow. And I think that's what most innovators are looking for in Africa. We don't want to run businesses that are shut down suddenly because the government do not understand what we are doing. So I think Mauritius is an example of a country that took a pre-planning approach to blockchain innovation and digital asset innovation. So that I think it's one of the countries that is unique in what we are seeing currently. Mauritius is really unique with that.
David, let's try to use our imagination a little bit and try to envision how things could look like in the future if emergent technologies such as blockchain are leveraged and used to their fullest to accelerate the development of African countries. So, could you describe how would a normal day look for David in an African city in the age of Web3?
I want to wake up to my Web3 enabled mirror. When I wake up in the morning and I stretch, I want to stand in front of that mirror. I want to, get updates on what is happening with my, for example, my crypto portfolio. What is happening there? I want to see I want to see news, for example, maybe on the left side of my mirror, and I want to, I want to see my vitals as I'm standing in front of the mirror, my weight, my um, blood pressure. I just want to see that as I'm standing in front of the mirror. Everything, Web3 enabled. And I want to move out from that. And I remember once I get out of my bedroom, I go downstairs to my living room and I want to start my day. As I'm brewing my coffee, I want to I remember that my younger sister requests that I give her some money, right? And in the past, if sending money to my younger sister would take 3 days if I use the local bank. So in this future that we are looking, I want to get to my living room, bring my coffee, and sit down on my dining table, and get into my crypto wallet, and send um, maybe 2,000 USDT to my younger sister, and I want her to send me a message in just less than 45 seconds, say thank you, right? I want to see. I heard that new animals have been, added to the Serengeti National Park. There are new breeds of animals there, and I don't want to travel to Serengeti. I want to put on my Oculus glasses and connect to the metaverse ecosystem of Serengeti National Park, and I want to just swipe my card or put my card details, get paid, and get a pass and a reference number that I put on my dashboard and see what is happening at the Serengeti National Park, right? And I also want to, maybe around 1 p.m. that same day, I want to address a conference or a summit of blockchain and Web3 leaders, or even maybe secondary school, college students in America. And we are all assembled on a Web3 platform where I'm able to speak to them, get feedback. And I just want to live in a world where I feel safe, I feel transparent, and I have access to technology infrastructure in an easy way. I want to transact in an easy way. I want to have ease of, access to information without doing so much. I want to be also able to have a system that has predictive analytics with the amount of data that surrounds me, right? I also want to be able to harvest all the data that I generate as an individual daily, and it goes to a central cloud, and I can make sense of that data by myself. Those are the kind of things I want to see in this future you're talking about. I hope I've been able to imagine things well.
It's amazing, David. Thank you for sharing that. David, you have interviewed and discussed with a lot of founders and entrepreneurs as part of your research work and your professional career in general. Were you able to draw some lessons from these conversations, from the experiences of these entrepreneurs that are trying to make things happen in the African continent? There's some common
Yes.
traits they have or actionable advice that the listeners could learn from that also aspire to do the same.
Yeah, I think the number one lesson I've learned along the way is that innovators are the same everywhere in the world. What gives some innovators edge above others is the amount of support and financial support they had. Right? Innovators are the same. There are smart people everywhere. I've spoken to, there is always this media portrayal that maybe the Silicon Valley, startup entrepreneurs and innovators are better than other part of the world. And I beg to say no. I've spoken to very smart people in Africa, and they understand the technicality of the technology they are building. They understand the market uptake. They understand the customer need. They understand the behavioral perspective of customers to the product they are building. But what gave them a disadvantage is that they do not have all the support and the policy environment that helps them plug that innovation correctly. So innovators are the same everywhere. And the advice I'll take out of that is that the fact that you are disadvantaged in terms of support and financial investment does not mean that you should stop having the dream. We've seen in the last 5 years that Africa received a huge amount of money that we have never seen in the last 10 years for venture investment, because I think the attention is here now. So for African innovators, don't give up because you do not have the support yet. If you keep doing what you're doing and you have some data to prove, investment is coming your way. Number two is that Africa is no longer a follower when it comes to some fourth industrial revolution technology like blockchain. And you can see that Nigeria is leading in crypto innovation, right? So that tells you that the blockchain technology brings a lot of opportunity for Africans to be first movers of a lot of innovation and use cases for blockchain technology. And I would advise technology enthusiasts and solution providers and innovators and developers to look for unique opportunities to solve African problems with the blockchain technology. And number three thing would be that the opportunity that the blockchain technology brings does not limit our business models to only our region. I think our blockchain technology gives us the opportunity to build products that are really global. And that's a great opportunity for us to create products and innovative solutions that solves problems for millions of people beyond our continent. I think those are three great lessons for me.
Yeah, and it's also the entrepreneurs, innovators, and visionaries that will be able to enable such a future that is similar to the one that you have described. So we need African entrepreneurs. David, how can listeners follow you, learn more about your work, and also learn more about what the Africa Blockchain Institute is doing?
Yeah, Africa Blockchain Institute is on every social media platform. We're on LinkedIn as Africa Blockchain Institute. We're on Twitter at Africa Blockchain Insts. We're on Facebook as Africa Blockchain Institute. So we also have a Medium page, Africa Blockchain Institute, that people can follow to read our thought pieces from time to time. And on every social media platform, we share updates from time to time as well. Personally, you can follow me on Instagram. I'm David Adepoju on Instagram. On Twitter, I'm at Tabernacle3 on Twitter. On LinkedIn, I'm very active on LinkedIn. I'm Oluwaseun David on LinkedIn. You can follow my work and some of the thought pieces that I share there as well. And for our website, for Africa Blockchain Institute, www.africablockchaininstitute.com. And then you can also follow my personal website. You can check some of my work on www.davidadepoju.com.
Awesome. Thank you very much, David. I'm very happy that I was able to have you for this episode and to have this conversation with you. I'm looking forward to having you in the future in the Tomorrow.Africa podcast to further discuss the adoption of blockchain in the African continents and the future projects that will be happening.
Thank you for having me. Yes, and I'm very glad that we're able to get time to do this eventually.
I hope you enjoyed this episode. Feel free to visit our website, Tomorrow.Africa, and subscribe to our channels to be updated about the future episodes. We publish 2 episodes per month at the 1st and 15th of each month, so stay tuned for the next ones. And until then, stay curious, stay ambitious, and see you tomorrow.